Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily, and I am the homeschooling mom of a soon-to-be second grader. On this channel, I like to talk about homeschooling tips, mom life, and faith and culture. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the top 10 tips to help you successfully go from public school to homeschooling. So when parents are making the choice to unenroll their kids from public school and then start homeschooling them, it can be a little bit daunting at first. I worked as a public school teacher for 10 years, but then I also worked as an education specialist for a homeschool charter school where students who are homeschooled sign up under an umbrella organization and are assigned credentialed teachers to help them navigate homeschooling. In my time as an educational specialist, I saw a whole host of different types of families, different types of homeschooling situations, and people who approached homeschooling in a variety of ways. So, from my experiences, I want to share with you the 10 best ways to make sure that you're prepared to start homeschooling if you've just decided to do it. Step number 1, deschool or unschool at the beginning. Our children are raised in a very structured way when they go to public school, and it's not something that can be replicated when you decide to bring them home. So no matter what age you are deciding to bring your kids home, it's really important that you take these first days, weeks, months to basically deschool your child, which means that you should be spending lots of time with them reading and just hanging out, playing, snuggling up, watching documentaries or movies, going out and doing things, and basically unschooling them so that they can understand that their new normal will not just be run by bells, classroom management, but that you get to share in this special time together. Try not to just jump into your curriculum and start going where the teacher left off. Tip number 2, homeschool is not public school at home. It was very easy for a lot of my families who were coming from a public school background to want to replicate that at home. Either they made a schoolroom or they decided to structure their day so that their student was learning close to 6 to 7 hours a day. And that is absolutely not necessary. For kindergarten through 3rd grade, you'll probably spend maybe up to 3 hours a day, with kindergarten being definitely less than an hour a day. For grades 4 through 8th, you could probably go anywhere between 2 to 4 hours. And then with grades 8 to 12, it really ranges based on what your child is doing. It could be anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. In a public school, when you have over 30 students, 75% of the learning time is checking to see if students are understanding it, going from whole group instruction to smaller group instruction, and you don't have those types of things going on at home. You also don't have transition times between classes, you don't have recesses, you don't have 35-minute lunches, you just don't have all of that. So you're going to get the same amount of learning done in a way shorter day, which opens up your child's day to other activities. When they're younger, that can be playing, but when they're older, they can really explore what they're interested in. Number 3, if your children are old enough to understand, be honest with your kids with why you are homeschooling them. There could be a lot of different reasons why you decided to homeschool. Maybe your students were having problems with other students at school. Maybe you just don't feel it's the best fit for your child. Maybe you want to focus on their strengths. There's plenty of reasons why, but it's really important that your child knows why you're doing this. Education is not a one-size-fits-all approach. And seeing that their parent can make a decision that's best for their child will really work wonders and speak volumes to them. Number 4, be confident that you can teach your students. When I first started as an education specialist, I met with a mom who was so excited to homeschool, but she was also really nervous. She didn't know if she was able to do this. She was really worried that her daughter wouldn't take to her being her teacher. And in the back of her mind, she still thought, well, if this doesn't work out, I can still just send her back to public school. Eventually, they ended up going back to public school. And it really broke my heart because they had all the tools to be successful, but the mom's self-doubt really ruined the experience for her. It didn't matter how much support I offered her and how I tried to establish her up for success and give her coaching and cheerleading that she really could do this. Deep in the back of her mind, she had this idea that if this doesn't work, I can go back. And she had wonderful reasons why she wanted to homeschool, but she just didn't have the confidence. So it's really important that you are confident that you can do this, because it's going to lead into my next point, which is point 5. Expect pushback from your child and then not wanting to learn. My child has never been public schooled, but I still deal with pushback sometimes. Sometimes she just doesn't want to do it. She complains about it, and that's absolutely normal. And it's even more normal for your child if you are pulling them out of public school, because this is a huge transition. They're no longer able to hide in a group of 35 kids. They don't have this time where they go and they're by themselves for 8 hours a day apart from you. They're with you, and that's a big thing. So expect pushback, because their curriculum's going to be different. The way you teach it is going to be different than the way their teacher taught it. And if you go in anticipating pushback and you're prepared to just go with it, you're going to have a much more successful experience with your child. Step 6, do not compare your child with their public school counterparts. It's really easy when you're out with your friends or you see one of your friends' kids reading, they're much more fluent, or they're just talking about things and reading things or doing things, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, we're not doing that yet. My child's not there yet. Part of the reasons we homeschooled is that I didn't want my daughter to ever compare herself negatively to other students. And when you are homeschooling, you know exactly what your child needs, when they need it, and how to give it to them. So there's no point in comparing your child to somebody else's child if they're in public school, because they're doing something completely different. And remember that in public school, all the kids are moving along at a certain rate. So while they may look like they're excelling at something, you have no idea how they're doing in any other thing. You have no idea what the class is doing. Maybe you've covered something that they haven't covered already. It's okay if your child is moving at a different rate than somebody else's child. Number 7, and this is really important, know your state's laws concerning homeschooling. While all states allow homeschooling, not every state has the same requirements and regulations. I came from a state that had very easy regulations to a definitely more lax state. In my state, I don't have to register my child with the state at all. We don't have to file a private school affidavit, none of that. But I checked in to what was needed before we moved here so that I knew and was prepared. One place you can go for more information is www.hslda.org. And they have a menu which will tell you all the requirements that you need to know for your state. Some requirements could be record keeping, attendance keeping, submitting portfolios, but you want to make sure that you're protected and that you're meeting all the benchmarks that your state has established for homeschooling. Step 8, detach from all things public school. On this homeschooling journey, it's really important that you stay focused and you're not looking back, you're not looking sideways, but you continue to look forward. If you are focused on the why of why you homeschool and the how and the what you're doing, then you're not going to be distracted. But there's nothing worse than being distracted by what was in your public school and looking back to it. So get rid of all the emails, pull back. You don't need to be focused on that. Number 9, connect with other homeschooling families. It can be something really simple like a few friends, or it could be an actual structured co-op. You need the support, and so do your kids. It's great to talk with other parents, especially if their kids are around the same age, just to see what they're experiencing so that you guys can just support each other and learn from one another. But you definitely need to have this connection with other families. And finally, start with the basics. Reading, writing, and math. It's so exciting before you start to see all the things that are out there that you can do. The field trips, the great literature you can read, all the wonderful activities, but that can be very, very overwhelming if you don't have any experience with teaching and you are really unsure and kind of nervous. So before you do anything too exciting and too make sure to just start with the basics, and you can eventually add in more once you feel confident. So if you liked today's video, make sure to subscribe. And if you're a parent who took your child out of public school and is homeschooling them, let me know what worked for you.